Welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today I am reacting to an article from ClutchPoints, which names 3 Commanders trade targets that they should go after before the start of training camp here in 2024. Before we get into it, we are in the middle of a like battle here with our friends, frenemies, I guess we can call them. Eagles Now by Chat Sports. We usually do it with the Cowboys, but the Eagles saw us beat the Cowboys earlier this week, and they said, you know what? We want to get in on this action. So yesterday's video, Eagles had 864 likes on their most recent video. We have to beat that today in order to win. If this isn't enough to make you click that thumbs up icon, here's what Jake Chipper, the producer of Eagles Now, had to say about the Commanders. He's actually produced here on the Commanders Report before. I literally laughed out loud when I saw that the Commanders were stupid enough to give us Cooper DeJean. Adam Peters is such an idiot. I can't wait for the Eagles defense to break Jayden Daniels twice this year. Fly, Eagles, fly. So you guys remember Jake Chipper? I'm sure some of you, he's been on the show before. You guys know he's got a big mouth. So let's shut it for him right now here, producer Coop. Coop, you're a Cowboys fan, and that's kind of fraudulent in its own right, but the one thing that Commanders fans and Cowboys fans can come together on is that Eagles fans are the worst.
No one likes the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a trash city. They have a trash fan base, and they act like they've won 10 Super Bowls. You've won 1 Super Bowl in 50 years. You guys need to chill out and F the Philadelphia Eagles always. I freaking hate the Eagles, man. I'm done with them.
F the Eagles. Help us win right now. Click that thumbs up icon. All right, let's get into our first trade target from ClutchPoints in this article here. And the first one is wide receiver from the Denver Broncos, Courtland Sutton. Now, this one is interesting to me here, Coop, because Courtland is a really good receiver. He'd bring some size to this wide receiver room that, we know the Commanders could certainly use that. Terry McLaurin is kind of the biggest receiver that's going to be a bona fide starter here. He's only 6 foot. And Courtland Sutton's one of the best, bigger contested ball winners in the league. This is what Enzo Floho had to say. He's from ClutchPoints on Courtland Sutton. The Denver Broncos wide receiver Courtland Sutton may find himself with a new team this offseason, with Sutton and the Broncos unable to agree on a substantial contract extension. The talented receiver could be on the move. Sutton excels at making tough catches, even when the throws are less than perfect. So listen, man, when it comes to Courtland Sutton, I don't think he's going to get traded. I don't think Broncos are looking to move him. And with Courtland showing up at mandatory minicamp there in Denver this week, as reported by James Palmer, Courtland definitely doesn't seem like, he's necessarily like demanding a trade out of there or anything like that. Did show up to mandatory minicamp, and even Ian Rappaport from NFL Network this week says he would be surprised if the Denver Broncos trade Courtland Sutton. So even though, for the right price, I would love to add a Courtland Sutton to this wide receiver room and give Jayden Daniels yet another weapon, especially in the red zone, in those contested catch situations. We know how much Jayden loves to throw those deep balls, but I just don't think it's a realistic possibility at this point. Now, shout out your guy down there in the comments section. Name a player that the Commanders should trade for. It could be anybody, all right? Now, try to keep it realistic. I don't want to see any Patrick Mahomes down there in the chat. But let me know, who's a player that the Commanders could realistically trade for down there in the comments. Second trade target from ClutchPoints in this article here is Tremaine Edmunds, the linebacker from the Chicago Bears. Kind of an interesting name that you don't hear thrown around trade rumors around the National Football League, but they listed him here, and this is what they had to say. Edmunds was expected to be a cornerstone of the Bears defense. Now playing under defensive coordinator Eric Washington, Edmunds has familiarity with the system. However, his performance last year did not justify his $18 million salary. Edmunds' versatility and playmaking ability would be invaluable to the Commanders. They need a dynamic presence in their linebacking core. His quick diagnostic skills and sideline-to-sideline range would significantly enhance their defense. Now, here's the thing, man. The Commanders already made their investments at the inside linebacker position. They brought in both Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner, and they're going to be playing Jeremy Chin in kind of like a rotational bandit type role this year in their nickel and dime packages. So I think that they're probably pretty good. And, if one of these guys gets hurt, you do have Michael Walker and Jordan McGee, and then even Jamin Davis, who has played this position before in the Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera era for this team. Davis is moving over to edge rusher, and he's going to be rushing the passer more now. But if you need him to play inside linebacker in a pinch, you can absolutely do that. Tremaine Edmunds is extremely expensive, and he did not have a good year last year, especially in pass coverage, which is why I think there is a 0% chance that the Washington Commanders make a trade for Tremaine Edmunds. Sorry, Clutch Points. Now coming up here, final trade target from Clutch Points here, and I think it's actually the most realistic of the bunch here. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/Daniels to pick up a brand new Jayden Daniels Commanders jersey today. And if you've been planning on getting a Jayden Daniels jersey and you want to help out our channel, this is the perfect opportunity for you to kill two birds with one stone. Because if you use our link, chatsports.com/Daniels, I'll put that link in the comments and description of today's show, and you make a purchase, Fanatics is going to send us part of the proceeds. So I really do appreciate your support. If you want to get a brand new Jayden Daniels jersey and you want to help the Commanders support today, go to chatsports.com/Daniels. Now let's get to the final trade target here from this article, and it's cornerback Akayleb Evans, currently with the Minnesota Vikings. This is what Floho had to say about Evans to Washington. Evans' physical attributes and potential make him an intriguing prospect. However, with Shaq Griffin joining the Vikings, Evans might find himself lower on the depth chart. Given the Vikings' limited draft capital, trading Evans could help them recoup some much-needed picks. For the Commanders, Evans' arrival would inject youth and dynamism. There we go. We got a nice word there from Clutch Points into the secondary. His capability to handle both man and zone coverage effectively would offer greater flexibility to the defensive scheme. This could be pivotal in creating turnovers and shifting game momentum. So listen, man, I think that this is probably the best idea that Clutch Points came up with, but even then, I'm not too sure if this is something that is actually realistically has a chance to happen. Because, I'm not sure if the Commanders or the Vikings really feel incentivized to get a deal done here. Now, the thing about Evans that does intrigue me here is that his physical profile is legit. He's got long arms, he's got a good size, and he's got good enough speed. 4.46 at his height and weight there, almost 200 pounds. And with his long arms, I do think that he'd be a good scheme fit here with the Washington Commanders, all right? But I think probably both teams would say no to a potential trade here. And the reason why the Vikings would say no is because they have pretty much no cornerback depth. I mean, Andrew Booth Jr. deserves to be working in like a toll booth, let alone, being Andrew Booth. He stinks. And then, they don't have really anybody else. They have Byron Murphy, who plays in the slot, and he's fine. And then you get Shaq Griffin this offseason, and he's just okay as well. So I think that Evans, who is fast, who is big, I think he is a good fit for Blind Flores' system. They're in Minnesota. I think they probably need him to start this year because I'm just not sure who else they have outside of a couple rookies here that they got in the draft, like Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon. And then the reason why I think that Washington probably says no is because he would be yet another unproven entity in this cornerback room. Right now, you got both Benjamin St-Juste and Emmanuel Forbes, two younger, unproven, maybe higher potential type guys in that room, but you need somebody that I think is a bit more experienced and somebody that's a bit more established. And I think instead of trading and giving away a draft pick for Akayleb Evans, just go to free agency and sign Stephon Gilmore. You don't have to give up a draft pick to get him. You might have to pay him a little bit more, but you probably only have to give him a one-year contract. He's been in this defense before. He'd be an excellent mentor to the younger guys in that room, and he'd immediately be your number one corner. I mean, this is just a no-brainer move to me. If I'm Adam Peters, the GM, the only thing that could be preventing the Commanders of making this move, in my opinion, is if Stephon Gilmore is saying, I'm not playing for a rebuilding team like the Commanders, and that's a very good possibility, okay? Because he is older, he might be trying to go play for a competitor, and he might feel like the Commanders aren't there yet. But if he is open to playing for Washington this year, there's no reason why the Commanders shouldn't bring him in for this season. Now let me know down there in the comments section, would you sign Stephon Gilmore? Ignore the double O's there. Would you sign Stephon Gilmore? F. Coop in the chat. Yes or no? Let me know. Would you sign Stephon Gilmore, the former All-Pro corner, to join the Washington Commanders? Thank you guys so much for your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now because we got more premium Commanders coverage coming your way all throughout the 2024 offseason right here on the channel.